Hi, this is Hopkins with Baltimore Heritage, and it's April 3rd, Friday, and this marks the second week that we've been doing these 5-minute histories. And I'm pleased to say that we have met part of our pledge. We've been able to get one of these histories out the door every day for the last 2 weeks. I'm a little less pleased to report that we have not met the other part of the pledge, which was keeping them to 5 minutes. I don't think any of the videos have come anywhere near just 5 minutes. In fact, when I proposed the idea to my film crew, my daughter Leah, 14, and my son John's 15, they both, almost in one voice, said, "Dad, you'll never be able to do that. You can't talk about anything in less than 5 minutes." And I think they actually may be turning out to be right. So the pledge going forward is that I'm going to try to keep these to 5 minutes, at least as much as is humanly possible. So we better get going. We're going over to Druid Hill Park again for the second part of our Off the Beaten Path in the park. And we're going to start with a place called the Grove of Remembrance. The Grove was planted in 1919. If you've been in Baltimore a while, you may remember that there was a poster going around at one point called "Baltimore, a City of Firsts," and it talked about all sorts of things that Baltimore did first: the first umbrella factory, the first Ouija board, all sorts of stuff like that. I don't know whether this was in it, but this was certainly the first grove of trees planted in remembrance of fallen World War I soldiers. Maybe the first memorial grove planted for any war, but definitely for World War I soldiers. It was planted by a group of women, later known as the Gold Star Mothers, who planted pin oaks for each state in the Union, commemorating loved ones who had died in the World War, the World War I. A little later, in 1927, there was a pavilion added in commemoration of a gentleman named Merrill Rosenfeld. Merrill was a young man. He had graduated from Hopkins. He had joined the bar. He was a lawyer. He also, interestingly, he was of Jewish ancestry, German Jewish ancestry. And he signed up in the army and fought in World War I. He died in 1918, I believe, maybe 1917. And when his father died, Israel Rosenfeld, in 1925, he left $10,000 to build the pavilion, which is a wonderful pavilion and a really neat one. Architect named Rob Brennan has described it as sort of a French country style architecture, maybe commemorating or looking back to the place where Rosenfeld died. All right, second place we're going to go today, we're going to move on back over to where the disc golf course is in the park, a little further back, and we're going to talk about the Three Sisters Ponds. These were built in 1875. Originally, there were 5 ponds, and they were built as part of a fish hatchery that was going on. I think it was trout and shad that were being hatched there. I honestly can't tell you why we were doing that in the park or where the fish were going, but that's what their original use was. Not too long later, I think in 1884, the Baltimore Zoo had a great idea. They brought a sea lion over from California, a Californian sea lion, and put it in one of the ponds. The sea lion turned out to be incredibly popular. People of all ages flocked to come and watch the sea lion do its antics. And soon the zoo needed more space. They brought in more sea lions, and they combined 3 of the ponds. That's why it's now, instead of the 5 sisters, it's the 3 sisters. So they combined 3, and then there were another 2. And that proved to be even more popular. The sea lions, people just flocked and flocked and flocked. By 1910, the zoo decided to build a new exhibit space for them closer to kind of the core of the zoo. And the ponds became, the sea lions left the ponds, but they weren't totally vacated. In one of them, a group of anglers used to practice their fishing techniques. Fishing was then becoming quite a popular sport. I'm sure if you go down to Tochterman's on Eastern Avenue in Fells Point, Tony Tochterman and his wife Dee will tell you all about what was going on in fishing in the 1920s. They've been in business for over 100 years. Their families had that business for over 100 years. But fishermen used one of the ponds for practice, and a group called the Baltimore Model Yacht Club used another pond for sailing their model yachts, and that was also pretty popular. People came and watched the yachts sail around in the pond. Eventually, however, the ponds became, less popular and fell into disuse. By 1960, the city had turned off the water, and slowly over the last 50 years, the ponds have, nature's kind of crept back in and taken over the ponds. But I'm going to end maybe on a high note. Also, over the past maybe 30 years, there have been various master plans for the park, and at least one, maybe a number of them, have included the idea of restoring the ponds. So I'll go on record here saying that if that's part of the current master plan, I'll have to figure out whether it is or not, but if that's part of the current master plan, I would fully support it. Before signing off, though, I do want to say a thank you to everybody who has donated to Baltimore Heritage. Whether it's $5 or $10 or whatever, each year the overwhelming majority of our support comes from people like you, from private contributions of all sizes. And this year, your support matters maybe even doubly more, as we're not able to get outside and do our in-person walking tours. So thank you to everybody who has donated, and if you are able and inclined and haven't yet donated, would love to hear from you also. You can do it through our website, or you can give me a call or send me an email. Thanks so much, and we will see you Monday.